guys, it's the Chook Man here once again. I'm a little bit confused how these dogs end up getting dumped on the streets just because they've done something wrong. They've been someone's puppy at some stage, so they've paid a bit of money for these puppies, and then somewhere along the track they do something wrong. They get to a certain age and they get dumped. Okay, it doesn't sit well with me or my partner. You know, if you're going to dump these dogs, you might as well dump them in the pound and explain to the people that are in the pound what they've done wrong so they can try to rehome these dogs and give them a good life again. Because once you've dumped them on the streets, and Christ knows what else you've done to them before you've dumped them on the streets, it gets very technical here because you mightn't have done anything wrong to them. They might have just turned out to be a nasty dog. But I find it a little bit hard to believe that these dogs have got so many issues. You go to so many pounds and you get to so many stories of what's happening to all these dogs. There's heaps of dog shelters out there, and you can read on the reports what's happened to them, and most of them have got sad stories. And I find it too hard to believe that all those dogs, I find it too hard to believe that they're all got like it's their fault. That's why they ended up in the pound. I don't cop that one bit. I would like to know how in the heck there's so many dogs, and I get it. Some people, they have to move on and shift and get a smaller house. I can understand that, and some people die. I get that, but I don't get so many stories that you read, because you can read all about the dog on their story and follow their story right through. Like two of our dogs that we rescued and tried to give a good home that didn't work out, they were both dumped. That doesn't sit well with me. What, you just think you can get a dog and chuck it in your car and then take it for a long drive and let it walk home? Is that what it is? Because I'll tell you what, if you did that to your dogs, I'd hate to see what you do to your kids. It's disgusting, and people are not going to like me because I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. I'm going to tell you how I think it is and what I believe. You've got to do better. People in Australia have got to do better with their animals. They're not an object. You don't just have them and then decide one day you don't want them anymore, so I'll just dump them. And all you people out there that do that, I won't tell you what I think of you. I don't even class you as a human being, because human beings are supposed to know better than that. And I don't care what excuses you've got. Oh, the dog grew up and it was a dickhead. It did this and it did that. Well, why don't you go and get the dog trained? You know, there's all these loopholes that you seem to just, the dog ripped the clothes off the line, the dog bit my child, the dog did this, the dog did that. Hang on a minute. You know, the old saying is, if you dig a hole deep enough, you'll get to the bottom of it. These dogs were someone's puppy that grew up, and then they decided, we don't want this puppy anymore because it's full grown. Let's put it in the car, take it for a long drive, and let the government deal with it. You know, pounds are full of unwanted dogs. I get that. And I understand some dogs grow up to be vicious. I understand that too. But there's an understanding of not knowing what's going on with all these unwanted dogs. And then you get people like me that think, I'll rescue them, I'll give them a good home, and lo and behold, they turn out vicious. And it's not the shelter's home because they only can do so much, and then they pass it on to the people that adopt these dogs. If it wasn't for people like me and my partner that adopted these dogs, took them home, found out what they're really like, and then taken them back because they've been vicious, they're ready to bite, they wouldn't know. They'd be just dumped in the shelter and said, I got sick of it, I had to hand it in, and give bullshit excuses all the time why the dogs are handed in. Half the time you're not even giving the dog shelters, the real story. Like I heard one story where a guy come to the dog shelter. He wanted to surrender his dog. The dog shelter was full. So and they said we can't take him because the dog shelter's full. So he puts the dog back in his car, takes the dog for a long drive, opens the door, kicks the dog out the door of the car, kicks the dog out in the street, in the middle of the bush, and says, see you later. Stuff like that turns my guts. And I wouldn't want to see you doing it. I'm disgusted in how some people treat their animals. You know? How come you've got 10 different shelters with multiple dogs with multiple stories? Now I get most of the stories, people have to hand them in, people shift, I get all that. But what I don't get is the dog gets to a certain age or the dog does something wrong and they just take it for a long drive. Sorry people, but that has got to stop, and I wouldn't want to come across people doing that, because I tell you what, it wouldn't end up good. Take it how you see it, but I'm sick of it, you know. Here we are, trying to give a dog a good life, and to find out, not only has it been abused, but it was dumped. How's that poor dog ever supposed to trust humans again? I shake my head to this. I really do. And you know what? I'm not going to shut my mouth. I'm going to fight this all the way. And why shouldn't I? Someone's got to speak up for these animals. You know, people go, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Well, you've got to talk about it, because these dogs' lives are on the line. You know, most people see this. You're not going to like how I am. But as I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm going to tell you straight to your face what I think about dumping unwanted dogs. It's disgusting.